Happy Friday, everybody. It's been warm this week, so I've chosen 2 fine white wines to look at today. Now, 3 weeks ago, I put a brace of white Burgundies under the microscope, and very delicious they were too. I hope some of you had a chance to try them. The thing is, sometimes with fine wine, it's all too easy to get stuck on Burgundy. And great though it is, that can just be a little bit, well, narrow. The tip I want to give you today is every now and again, jump the fence of France and go widescreen. I've got 2 wines here today that will blow your mind. They certainly did mine. We've got Austria and Greece. Amazing landscapes, amazing people, and amazing native grape varieties. So the first one I'm going to look at is this Grüner Veltliner, and the Wachau, where this is grown, is arguably Austria's most prestigious region. The vines of the Wachau grow on really steep terraces on the banks of the river Danube. And this particular wine comes from one of the steepest of the lot. It's called the Achleithen vineyard, and it's incredibly hard work to grow grapes on, but it produces some of the best wines in the region, particularly when it's in the hands of one of the region's best winemakers. This is Rudolf Pichler IV, known to you and me as Rudi Pichler. And his family have been doing this since 1731, so he knows a thing or two about getting the most out of these impossible hillsides. Just poured, this smells amazing, very stony. And then the more it opens up, you get pear, apricot fruit, just a little bit, but also a green leafy quality and the distinctive white pepper notes that mark Grüner Veltliner out. Like so many great wines, the palate pulls off this tightrope act. It's really precise, it's racy, but it's rich and powerful. I can still taste it now. The finish is super long. It's spicy, it's evolving all the time. And those smoky notes are still there, a bit like grilled nuts or scorched earth. And amazingly, that doesn't come from oak in this case. This is made 100% in stainless steel tanks, and yet the grape itself, grown on this amazing slope, is so complex that it provides all these different layers of flavour. It's absolutely masterful stuff. Concentration without heaviness, very refreshing, definitely a food wine, but a very versatile one. So, from the riverbank to the sea, and an even smaller region, this wine comes from the island of T-Oinos, which is one of the Cyclades. Next to Mykonos, it has about 10,000 inhabitants. These vines were planted in 2002 by T-Oinos with the humble aim of making the best wine of Greece. Or maybe I should say the best Greek wine, because it's not only grown on Greek soil, it's also made from a native variety. Now, most varieties couldn't cope with the hot, dry, incredibly windy climate on T-Oinos, but Assyrtiko is made for it. And these grapes are grown organically, tiny, tiny yields from these granite soils. The vines are planted super close to each other, 10,000 plants per hectare, so they're a metre apart or less. And this rare bottling is just that. 1,500 bottles of this were made only from a selected enclave within the vineyard. Once again, you get this magnificent spectrum of aromas. Can something smell salty? I don't think so really, but it's not a smokiness, not overtly fruity. To begin with, in the mouth, you might be tricked into thinking it was Burgundy, maybe because of that whisper of oak, but in fact there's something wilder going on here. They grow fennel on the island, and there's something of that herbal quality in the wine, that same bizarre impression of saltiness. There's a lot of power, as you'd expect from those low-yielding vines, but like with the Grüner, it's so finely wielded that the wine doesn't feel heavy or clumsy or awkward. It's incredibly pure, almost linear, and yet coats the mouth with this fantastic long-lasting flavour. So it's interesting to me how these 2 wines, made so far apart from completely different grapes in completely different circumstances and with a very different history, can end up with a certain amount of overlap. It comes back to the fundamental question of what really is fine wine. It can be very hard to define. Maybe a fine wine is one that, like top-level sport or a great work of art, both commands and deserves your attention. And if that's the case, these 2 are undoubtedly members of that elite category. So this time, don't just treat yourself, but surprise yourself. Explore wines like these for both sheer quality and that sense of adventure. These are more than worth it. Cheers.